Welcome to 10, the Tenant Experience Network. I'm your host, David Abrams. Today we are connecting with Peter Riguardi, Chairman and President, New York Region at JLL. In this episode, we learn that Peter's career journey to commercial real estate began early on, watching his father work in property management, and then having the opportunity to learn from many experts in the business before embarking with a group of colleagues to start their own company in 1989. He would later sell that firm to JLL in 2002 and has been at JLL ever since. I love how Peter gives credit to his family for teaching him the value of showing people respect. He also provides a valuable lesson about situations where you can control the work by striving for exclusivity rather than competing with other brokers, even if it means smaller assignments. Peter is seeing an increase in people coming back to the workplace and occupiers using the office to competitively attract talent. He has also noticed a significant push to the best office buildings, regardless of their location. With 460 million square feet of office space in New York City, only time will tell how much space use will have to change. We both agreed that the industry needs to seek innovative and creative solutions to meet emerging needs in commercial real estate, as it continues to compete with the many options where people can choose to work. We're excited to share this podcast with you, so be sure to subscribe to 10 so you never miss an episode of the Tenant Experience Network. Now I'd like to welcome Peter to the show. I'm really glad you could be with us today. How are you doing?
Great to be here. I'm doing well on a Friday afternoon in New York City.
Well, I at some point want to hear a little bit about what's going on in New York. Just confirmed I'll be coming down later in November, so looking forward to that. And perhaps we can touch base in person as well.
Love to do it. Love to host you here and show you our operation at JLL in New York City.
We will definitely make that happen. To kick off our show today, Peter, would love to hear about your journey to the current position role. How did you get started? It's my favorite question, and I love to hear how people got into this business.
Well, my dad was in the property management business, so I was exposed to real estate my whole life. My first job in real estate was a very Glengarry, Glen Ross environment. You know, where's the leads, canvassing for business, competing with people. But there were a lot of really smart, knowledgeable real estate people above and around me in those days. And I really was taught a great lesson and learned the business the right way and had some success early on, enough so that a group of us decided to start our own company, right, in 1989, which were tough times. And that really is the only move I've ever felt like I've made in my career, to switch, because that firm evolved. And then that firm was eventually, we sold it to JLL in 2002, and I've been here at JLL ever since.
Wow. So the transition, what was the motivation at that time to make the move to JLL, to go from independent to, part of a much larger organization?
Winning and losing, right? I was starting to feel like there were many situations where people were saying, Peter, you might be the best advisor, or you might be the best broker we talk to in this space, but we're contractually obligated to use only one of these two or three firms, right? And we're also seeing more and more of procurement groups playing a role in the selection of advisors and brokers. And JLL seemed like the best choice for me at that time.
Right. So, in terms of the entire career trajectory and to where you've landed, why do you think you were so uniquely suited for this opportunity? What has helped you to be successful? Skills, mentors, colleagues, books. Everyone's got something to tell.
Yeah, that's a great question, by the way, and I've answered that question in parts so many different times. But so the first thing I would say is the way I was raised, right? Mm-hmm. Right. My family, taught me respect and listen and, to take everybody seriously. Right. I was an average student, but I was an average student because I was below average or average at certain things, but I was always the best math student in any class I was in, and
Right.
I think the math always helped me in the real estate career. And then a couple of things early on that I think really changed the game for me is early on, I realized you shouldn't work with anyone that you can't control the work with. So instead of trying to offer space as a broker to someone who needed 50,000 feet and was listening to 5 or 6 brokers, I would rather spend my time trying to get someone who needed 5,000 feet to hire me as their exclusive broker. And it
Okay.
made the business more professional.
Hmm.
And then after that, not that long after, it also clicked on me, if I'm going to call on a person, it's better to call on a person who has many requirements in their area of responsibility as opposed to one. So I started calling on more corporate, larger companies and making my way into their real estate hierarchy.
Interesting. So sort of some tips on not on, sort of how to grow your business, but also how to advance your career and where the best opportunities lie.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Very interesting. Anxious to sort of get your insights, given your location. You're in the heart of New York, and obviously New York being a just such a focal point for commercial real estate across North America. So really, excited to sort of get your views on sort of our topic of conversation today. We know that commercial real estate has just gone through, one of the most turbulent times I'm sure we can ever remember. I'm sure you've been through a few. This is not the only one.
Yes.
But it's still the largest asset class in the world, but it is still rebounding from a really challenging period of time. I'm in touch with people in the industry on an ongoing basis, and I am still hearing language, from medium-sized, large, players, owners, regional, national, that the industry, is really still in crisis, and that's the language that they're using.
No doubt. So, yeah, I've been through this before. We obviously had the financial crisis, the dot-com crisis. But the crisis to me this most represents is when the stock market crashed in the late 80s. And we really went almost 7 or 8 years in a tailspin, right? And there's a lot of similarities now to what I remember when I was younger back then. So there's no doubt that people bought buildings in New York City for $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
They financed it for $700 million, and the building's worth $500 million today.
Right.
And I think that that's an issue throughout the United States, but
Mm-hmm.
given the scale and the quantity, it's compounded problem here, right? And so that's something that's going to take time to play itself out between banks and operators and things like that. Around all of that, we have a very curious marketplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
With people starting to want to come back to work in the office, right? And people needing to be competitive to bring their people back to work in the office.
Right.
We're seeing a tremendous push to the best office buildings. Right. It doesn't really matter where they are, as long as they're new, they have a tremendous amount of demand for occupiers for the amount of space they have. And that's a good, positive, healthy sign,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also a little bit misleading because it's, the tip of the iceberg, right? And so that space is going to start to run out. Will that, appetite continue to the next level of buildings? Can the next level of buildings make the adjustments physically,
Mm-hmm.
amenities, things like that to be attractive? And I'm positive that can happen. But despite all of that, there's going to be space in this city that no one wants anymore for commercial office. There's no doubt. We have 460 million square feet of office space on the island. Is it going to be 50 million feet of that? Is it going to be a little less? Is it going to be a lot more? Time's going to tell. Is it going to turn out to be converted to residential, demolished, converted to residential, other uses? Time will tell. But it's going to take a few years, right, to play ourselves through this.
Right. Well, I think we can agree that it is, after every downturn, there's opportunity. It's a very exciting time, although with a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety, particularly around the office category. I think you're right. There has been this flight to quality. The individual workplace is now part of a much larger workplace ecosystem. It's not just your office. You have options. People are reimagining what their space looks like, what their space requirements are. I think you made an interesting comment that, yes, there's been this flight to quality and new, but what does that mean for the B and C building? Can the B and C building also reinvent itself? And we believe, again, so we're in the technology side of the industry and helping commercial real estate operators to deliver great experience using technology as a way to engage with their tenants and deliver services and connect to amenities and promote different events and programs going on in the building. So we think technology can be a bit of an equalizer, that it can start to help those smaller buildings to present themselves in a much different light. And we're excited to see it. I mean, we've got some clients in Midtown New York that, their buildings are full. They're fully leased. Their leasing activity has been fairly robust, and they're working hard. Now, what we say is that everyone's got to work a lot harder than they ever did. It's not just build it. It's not just build it and they will come.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm optimistic in a few places too. So we did a number of transactions during COVID and right after COVID, and a number of them were with banks. And if they had a choice of taking 1 foot, 2 feet, or 3 feet, they all just chose the 1 foot.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, when they've returned to the office, they're looking for that second foot. So we're seeing some expansion needs. And maybe that'll happen when tech starts returning to the office as well. We need these positive signs.
Right. What are you seeing in terms of buying and selling? Are you seeing some of those B and C owners, maybe family businesses, those buildings have been in the family for generations? Are they, where are they on that sort of that continuum of, we got to do something now, we can be patient, we've been through this before, any signals that you're seeing?
Yeah, let me see if I can make you laugh. I would describe it as the high school lunchroom about a month before the prom. Okay. Everybody's trying to figure out where their date is.
Right.
Okay. The interest rates, the availability of capital are either non-existent or so expensive that the market is clogged, right? But there's no doubt that there are landlords, as you described, and a lot of them are longtime family owners that need capital or are looking for ways to invest in their businesses and use their expertise with, partners' money to do things. Mm-hmm. And then there are a lot of partners out there circling New York City saying, hey, this is a great market. If I wait too long, I'm going to miss it on the rebound. I have to be ready to strike, right before the bottom or at the bottom. So there's a lot of courtship going on between those two parts right now.
Right. In terms of the whole return to work effort, are you seeing any changes currently as opposed to pre-pandemic with the way in which building owners are collaborating with the occupier to create a more compelling reason why buildings and office space are an important place for people to be? What do you see?
I think that any landlord that's not on the cutting edge of that topic and challenging themselves to be innovative and creative will fall behind. Mm-hmm. We represented a big bank. They moved to Hudson Yards recently, and they, at scale, wanted to be able to share some of the amenities that the landlord was providing for the building. They wanted to do that because they didn't want to waste the space, and they wanted to do it because they felt their people liked interacting more with other people in other spaces. So it's a whole new paradigm, and we need to continue to challenge and be creative in that space. And those buildings that do it the best are going to lease the best.
I agree. I think that there was always an element of creativity in commercial real estate, but more so from the development of the physical plant. I think now the opportunity for creativity is in the service and the program, and their everyday experience that they offer their tenants and residents.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt. People spent a lot of time during COVID. Some of them in really nice places, in homes, in second homes, in beautiful apartments, and they went into the kitchen and they got a snack, or they distracted themselves watching TV a little on the sofa, or they walked outside on the terrace. They want all those same options in the office.
Yeah, we like to say that homes are becoming more office-like and offices are becoming more home-like.
That's right. Exactly right. No doubt.
This question is really relevant, particularly to the New York market. We think a lot about buildings, and we don't just think of them as silos, as four walls. We really think of them as part of neighborhoods and cities. And particularly coming through, the pandemic, where cities, particularly urban centers, were really hit so hard with, people working remotely, working from home. What are your thoughts on how building operators should be collaborating with, BIDs, the business improvement districts, with cities to help reinvigorate and re-energize and help, the businesses that perhaps, were near, death, help them to, revitalize themselves and or bring new businesses to the downtown core?
Well, when the question cuts through the public-private partnership, right? And, we were talking before we started on this, how divided and different the world has become. But we need to merge the public and private. Each body needs each other.
Right.
I think the commercial office building, the managers of commercial office buildings, I grew up, my father was in the property management building business. I have the utmost respect that they do the right things, whether it's developing a great building, whether it's being respectful and hitting targets around ESG. I think that industry is always going to be right there, cutting edge, doing it the right way. But they don't control the drive to work. They don't control the walk from the subway station to work, right? They don't control that whole surrounding area. And that's a factor in the success 100%. Of the building. And so these partnerships and bids are extremely important to the future of the central business district and the growth of the commercial real estate market in the inner city.
I 100% agree, and I'm continuing using my best efforts to help make those connections. We've always developed our technology to be not just, a technology solution for the building, but also to engage and connect with local neighborhoods and cities and really help, promote that vibrancy. And maybe you and I offline can chat again, because I've had a tough time connecting with some of these public organizations, but maybe a little bit of collaboration, we might get to the finish line.
Happy to do it. I'm looking at Grand Central's here, and we're very friendly with the people there, and Times Square, which is very challenging, right? So these are important partners for all of us.
Agreed. And now we're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be right back.
This episode of 10 is proudly brought to you by Hilo. Hilo is a rapid deployment workplace engagement platform for the hybrid world that enables building operators to connect to their tenants, whether they are at work, at home, or anywhere in between. We are in the midst of a seismic shift in the evolution of the workplace. Now more than ever, it's clear that the most important asset of a building is the people. Commercial real estate leaders recognize that tenants and employees want new kinds of spaces, services, and amenities to support having the flexibility to work from anywhere. Workplace engagement solutions that connect hybrid working people to buildings no matter where they are have become a major differentiator as buildings compete to retain current tenants and attract new ones. Hilo empowers building operators to meet this challenge. To learn more about Hilo and schedule a demo, visit hiloapp.com.
And now I'd like to welcome back to the show Peter Riguardi, Chairman and President, New York Region, Jones Lang LaSalle.
By the way, you didn't tell me you were doing a commercial. Should I be looking for a fee on this interview?
It's an in-house commercial.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
It's not a paid sponsorship yet.
Okay.
But good question, Peter. Thank you.
Good.
We've talked a little bit about the fact that we're on the technology side of commercial real estate, and we really believe that technology is playing a significant role into helping how buildings are ultimately delivering a great customer experience. And there's a lot of opportunity to look at technology to improve the way a building is operated, its efficiency, the way it connects to all of its residents and tenants. Just curious, from your perspective, from your lens into the industry, what are you seeing? What technology, if any, are you seeing that you're paying attention to, or as you're speaking to people that are looking at commercial real estate, they're interested in?
Yeah. So first off, for me, the pillars for our growth, are around sort of pivoting our business development from a traditional brokerage style to more of an investment banking style, and just becoming the leader in technology.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the future for JLL, right? And when you take that down, first I'm going to just say how I see it in our role. I'm looking for the best technology to assist JLL brokers in point of sale.
Right.
I'm looking to be answering the questions that brokers instinctively answer and be able to support it with real-time technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're doing tons of different things and piloting different technologies that are real-time and interactive with us and our clients. With the office building or any building, first and foremost with ESG, right?
Mm-hmm.
We negotiate leases still today where they turn the air conditioner on at 8 in the morning and they shut it off at 6 at night, 5 days a week. That's ridiculous. If
Right.
the people come in at 10 o'clock and they leave at 10 p.m. or they don't come in on Friday, we should be shutting off, and the systems and everything should be so precise due to technology, right? We should know who comes into our building and when and where they go, right? We should be able to order food and coffee and services. Everything should be in your tablet and available to you that you could possibly need during the course of your day.
Well, we agree, and we think we're at a point in time where a lot of what you've just described is absolutely achievable. And part of what we're working towards is helping building operators that are, have a tech stack made up of many different applications. How do we bring them together? How do we make sure they're talking to each other? And how do we make sure they're working towards a common set of goals? So I think you're bang on. Thanks for sharing that. Our closing speed round's an opportunity to get to know Peter a little bit more on a personal level. So Peter, here we go. When you're not at work, what do you enjoy doing?
I am a baseball statistical geek.
Okay.
I read a lot of data, and I can watch a baseball game from the Little League level to the World Series with enjoyment.
Amazing. Well, I guess that's that math side of you, right?
Yes, definitely.
All right. What is your favorite drink, beverage of choice? Alcoholic, non-alcoholic? What do you love to drink?
I'm going to make my family happy and not say Diet Coke because they tell me I drink too much of it. I'm going to say an Arnold Palmer.
Okay, cocktail. All right. Any favorite movie or current TV series that you're watching?
Well, I'm not a big TV person, right? But I really enjoyed Oppenheimer. I saw that recently.
Okay.
I thought that was terrific.
Yep. Haven't seen that yet, but it's on the list.
It's very good. Nice.
All right. Name one way in which technology has specifically improved how you live your life or how you work.
Well, I just think that the advancement in the communication capabilities like we're doing right now has given me such a tremendous amount of flexibility. I'm very old-fashioned. I'm in the office most of the time.
Right.
So I almost reject a phone call now.
Right.
Either we're going to do it on some sort of video call, or we're going to, do it on the iPhone's, video call. And so I like the connectivity it gives me.
I 100% agree with you. I think that it's at times when someone says, I'll just call you, I'm like, really?
Really?
A phone call? It almost seems impersonal now. Even right without that visual connection. My other pet peeve then on the visual connection is now that there are still people that for some reason refuse to turn their video on call. So I think we've got to just be more accepting that if we're on a call, if we're on a business call, video's on.
You're on. That's right. And if you're in the hoodie and the patio, we'll deal
That's
with
okay.
it.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. You kind of alluded to it already, but what's your personal choice for days spent in the office, collaborating with your colleagues versus working from anywhere?
Yeah. So I'm blessed. I live in the city, and we have a house in the country, and I have a nice lifestyle. But there was a time in my life I raised 4 sons in New Jersey, and I came to work every day, and they had hockey matches or baseball games, and I raced home and missed some of them and got there late. Boy, if I was doing that all over again, I would use the new advancement to be a better father and be around and make more things than I did back then. And I want to be conscious of saying that now, because I don't have that time constraint anymore.
Right.
So I do find myself here most days, including Fridays like today. But as far as where we can go here at JLL, we think we employ a lot of grown-ups. We prefer them in the office as much as they can. We know it works for them when they're not in the office, and so they have to make those decisions.
I think that's brilliant. I think the fact that we are all grown-ups and people can make the best decision. And to your point, looking back and reflecting back on your younger years, recognizing that to have had the flexibility that we have today is actually it's great. It's a win-win, right?
It's a win-win, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Peter, thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's an opportunity for us to speak to professionals in the industry who can tell us what's really going on today on the street. We've got New York in your background, so I know that this is going to be great content to share with our listeners. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to continuing our conversation.
And I want to say, David, I really enjoyed this too. You're a very affable guy, and happy to do this again. All the best.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye now.
Good.
I want to thank Peter Riguardi for joining me on this episode of 10 and for contributing to the global conversation around buildings being part of a robust ecosystem, helping to build great companies, and that they are vital in the effort to cultivate and support great people and teams. The future of the workplace will likely take many forms, and we will continue to explore what that looks like together. Subscribe to 10 for more conversations with leading CRE industry professionals and experts who all have something to say about tenant experience and the future of the workplace. We love hearing from you, so if you enjoyed this episode of 10, please share, add your rating, and review us through your preferred podcast provider. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on a future episode, please reach out to me directly at david@hiloapp.com. Until our next episode, I wish you all continued success in building community where you work and live. Thank you.